As human beings, we suffer from an innate tendency to jump to conclusions, to judge people too quickly, and to pronounce them failures or heroes without due consideration. I learned the way a monkey learns by watching its parents. Something as curious as the monarchy won't survive unless you take account of people's attitudes. After all, if people don't want it, they won't have it. It's always marvelous to have somebody who you feel, understand, and wants to encourage. I sometimes wonder if two-thirds of the globe is covered in red carpet. There's nothing like a jolly good disaster to get people to start doing something. I'd rather go by bus. You have to give this much to the Luftwaffe. When it knocked down our buildings, it did not replace them with anything more offensive than rubble. We did that. As you may possibly have noticed from time to time, I have tended to make a habit of sticking my head above the parapet and generally getting it short off for pointing out what has always been blindingly obvious to me. We are busily wrecking the chances for future generations at a rapid rate of knots by not recognizing the damage we are doing to the natural environment, bearing in mind that this is the only planet that we know has any life on it. Conflict, of course, comes about because of the misuse of power and the clash of ideals, not to mention the inflammatory activities of unscrupulous and bigoted leaders. But it also arises tragically from an inability to understand and from the powerful emotions which, out of misunderstanding, lead to distrust and fear. We need to be realistic. This is very little we can do now to stop the ice from disappearing from the North Pole in the summer. And we probably cannot prevent the melting of the permafrost and the resulting release of methane. In addition, I fear that we may be too late to help the oceans maintain their ability to absorb carbon dioxide. On an increasingly crowded planet, humanity faces many threats, but none is greater than climate change. It magnifies every hazard and tension of our existence. I have often thought that one of the less attractive traits of various professional bodies and institutions is the deeply ingrained suspicion and outright hostility which can exist towards anything unorthodox or unconventional. The mistake is to think that clever technology can solve everything. but it can't solve our relationship with nature, which is where I think it's gone wrong in that we have somehow abandoned our proper connection with nature. Perhaps it has been too uncomfortable to those with vested interests to acknowledge, but we have spent the best part of the past century enthusiastically testing the world to utter destruction, not looking closely enough at the long term impact our actions will have. For me, Lord Mountbatten represented the grandfather I never had. I think I can safely say that as adolescents, most people have excess energy to spare and need adventure, excitement, and a challenge.